Welcome to the Visionary Voice. The Visionary Voice is devoted and dedicated to the female ancestral visionary leaders, those who have come before us, and those women visionary leaders alive today, and the woman who wants to liberate her visionary leader within. I have fun interviewing visionary leaders and learning what it looks like for them to lead with personal power. Today, I get to have fun with Stephanie Angelo. Welcome to the Visionary Voice, Stephanie.
Lori, thank you so much. It's just always, like a pleasure to be invited to be interviewed on podcasts, and so I'm honored. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let me tell you a little bit about Stephanie Angelo. She is a keynote speaker, and she facilitates workshops on strategic thinking and collaborative accountability. She's a mastermind group leader for enterprising people in a range of businesses, from marketers to designers, financial planners, recruiting firms, and physicians. Stephanie is about traction, not transaction, and helps entrepreneurs and solopreneurs grow and build their own businesses, increase sales, revenue, and market share. Stephanie is innovative and creates teams that make more money. They blow away the competition and have better businesses as a result. And I have to say, when I was reading your bio, Stephanie, I thought, visionaries, money's important to visionaries too. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the women that I've met who are visionaries, their ideas are so lofty, it's hard for them to bring them down to earth and give them life and have that financial component, or they're so lofty with their visions that the practical things are difficult for them.
Well, because I look at it with two different points of view. So I, even for myself, do a lot of visioning. Like I have a vision board and I look at it daily, and there's a picture of a woman who's like surrounding herself with falling money. And I actually will sit there and I'll visualize money. So there is that part of it, and that can help you grow your income. At the same time, just envisioning it is not enough. You have to have a very clear goal and work towards it, and usually very specific steps. And I have, for example, with my mastermind groups, systems that we use, because just wishing it, envisioning it is not enough.
Right. You have to take the action, and those steps have to be grounded. And I know that you have that about you. Yep. So let's get into the interview questions. And this is, well, they're all my favorite questions actually, but this one, I'm always eager to hear about what your vision is for the world that's related to your work and your life.
So I do a lot of speaking and training. I work with collaborative accountability, strategic thinking, and all these things to make our workplaces better, and for employee development. And this could be from the line employee all the way to the executive. And one of the big components that I have with that is adding mastermind groups. And mine are a very specific structure of mastermind, so they can be in-house within a company, or for business owners like what you said in the bio. And I think everybody needs some form of a mastermind group. Like if everybody could belong to one, that would be really cool. Now, mastermind can be used sometimes in a really bad context. Like you could talk about terrorism or whatever, and they say, well, the mastermind of it was so-and-so. Well, that's not really a good context for it. However, the good context is that everybody has sort of like a tribe around them, because we all need somebody to speak to who has the same challenges that we do. Not to be so like-minded that we're homogenized and there's no creativity and it's stifled, but the power that is within that is so fruitful that I think if everybody belonged to something and had a real sense of belonging that masterminds provide, among so many other things, that I really think the world would be a better place. So that would be my vision. If I could have everybody placed in one, even little toddlers, like little toddler groups, wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, what's coming to me is that, everybody wants to belong. Mm-hmm. And what I'm hearing you say is that you have this belonging in this community that is supportive, that not only celebrates your vision and your aspirations and goals, but helps you with the challenges.
It absolutely does, because in my masterminds, these are all people that have the same challenges, so they understand what each other's going through, even if it's not a like business. So I have had physicians that are helping people that own restaurants and things like that, because the principles can be the same. And I know that there are mastermind groups that are just realtors or just wealth advisors, things like that. That's perfectly fine. I'm just saying that my structure and my vision is very different, and that you gain so much from having different perspectives and different experiences and so forth. And I used the word before, homogenize. It's just my opinion. And I've talked to people that have been in those groups that say, yeah, you know, we all were from the same industry, and you know, so there can be some limitations to having all of the same. But I tell people, shop the groups. You know, you and I are both members of National Speakers Association. We know speakers that are in speaker-only groups. That's perfectly fine if that's what they want. You just have to shop them and find the right fit for you. But my vision is something completely different, and I have a structure for them.
And you know what else just came to me is that when you're shopping around looking at masterminds, look at the leader's vision. And that tells you a lot. And if it resonates, that might be a door that you ought to knock on and try out. Yeah.
It's absolutely true. I, in fact, did a little LinkedIn video on that. I do several that are sort of around that theme. And it followed when I was having an interview with somebody who's interested in being a member, but she was concurrently interviewing me, which she absolutely should do. And one of the things that she asked me was, well, what makes you unique? And so I was just kind of going through each of those things. And part of that is my vision for the groups and my visions for the individuals, because I work with each person one-on-one. They get a lot of my time as well to help them achieve and clarify their goals.
All right, Stephanie, tell me, what does it mean to lead with personal power in your life? You know, what does that look like to you?
First of all, everybody's personal power is something different. So one of the things that I learned through doing it was a Gallup Strengths Finder, was that my top personal power came out to be empathy, which didn't surprise me at all. I probably could have guessed that. And so for me, that's one of the things that I lead with. How is it that I can make the best of that particular skill? So whatever somebody's personal power is, I think they need to use that for good.
That leading with personal power for you means that you're making good use of this natural ability or talent or skill of yours, which is empathy.
So for example, today I was talking to one of my mastermind group members, because we are actually going to be, a few of us are going to be interviewed on a radio talk show in the very near future. But she was a little bit concerned about what she was going to talk about, because she's got two businesses, and we are initially going to have her talk about one of them. But she said, you know what? I really don't feel ready. Something in my gut is just telling me not to talk about that one yet. So the empathetic part of me said, you know what? I'm not going to force you to do that. Even though that was in the promotional materials, even though we did this and we did that, if your gut is telling you that for some reason that's not the one to talk about in this particular interview, we won't do that. And she instantly was, thank you so much. I mean, that relief. And I think that's a really important component. And I have had clients that I work with in organizations, because I work with leaders, managers, human resources for the most part, and then my mastermind group members, whether they're internal or external. And that's one of the things that keeps coming up that they say to me. We're so glad that you're empathetic, that you understand us, you read us well, you help us clarify our visions, and there's something about your ability to empathize that enables you to do that.
That makes people feel safe and seen and heard, and having someone they're looking to as a leader help them trust themselves as well. And so you're helping them then, what I'm hearing is they also get to lead with personal power, this empowerment. So more specifically for you, Stephanie, how does your gift of empathy empower you in your personal life? We heard how it helps you be a better leader, or that powerful leader in your mastermind groups and with your clients. What about in your personal life?
I think in my personal life, Lori, it really allows me to feel right with myself about what I'm doing. I was talking to somebody just yesterday about an incident that you may know a little bit about last year when I had an exchange student, and that person had been the daughter of a friend. And, you know, my husband and I went through a very, very difficult and painful betrayal as a result of things that had happened. And I was telling somebody a little bit about that and saying, you know, they really missed that learning opportunity to look at how they could empathize with what they had put my husband and myself through. But yet I am able to get right with myself. And I think that that's a really good way to envision my own life and what kind of seeds I plant in this world and what legacy I might leave. That it's not me, that I understand that you and I are connected, Lori, and that your listeners and I, even if I don't see them or meet them, we are all connected. And for me, it's the empathy in me that allows that to happen. I understand that not everybody leads with empathy, and maybe not everybody understands that we are all connected. Maybe people have more of a tunnel vision and it's just about my world. That's just not me. And I don't think I could ever be comfortable with myself, Lori, if I did not lead with empathy and have that be the structure for my life.
Yeah, being, as you said, right with yourself to me means being in integrity with yourself.
Yeah.
And with that integrity, then inner peace is possible. You know, trusting yourself, to me, that's very powerful. And I agree with you, because without that, like using my words, integrity or that inner peace or feeling right with yourself and trusting yourself, there is no leading with personal power. Then you're flailing all over the place and you're not leading your life. You're kind of drowning in it, or, you know, always looking to others. Yeah.
And that's one thing that I find different in my own work, that I lead with my own sense of values and ethics. And like the individual I mentioned to you that was interviewing me, when she asked me, like, what makes me different, I said, among other things, and I listed some other things, I said, my sense of values and ethics and the sense that we're all connected and leaving our mark on the world is what I think makes my groups very different. These are not kumbaya groups. These are business groups, and there are softer, if you will, groups out there. I mean, there are groups that are based on meditation. There are groups that are based on all kinds of things. Mine are based on business growth. But you can still grow your business and make money, like we were talking about earlier, visioning money and making money, but be ethical and have good vision and good values. You can do that. And I believe that we should. And I think that makes what I do a little bit different too, because of that clarity. And because my members are the agenda of each meeting. So there are groups out there where the agenda could be sort of like a curriculum. Today we're talking about marketing. Next month we're going to talk about branding, and then, you know, that kind of thing, which is great because those are things that people need to learn. But what if you don't need to learn it and you're a member of the group? Now you feel like you've wasted your time.
I've had that experience.
Yeah, so they don't waste. They're not about wasting your time. They're not about networking. They're about growth and clarity and mastering your goals.
People really do experience that connection that you're talking about. And when other people have their backs and care about what they're going through. And that's really important. So it's wonderful to hear that you give that, because that is a positive experience in any aspect of life. And with that, you are free to grow. Yeah. So, okay, go ahead.
Oh, what I was just going to say really quickly is what I love is I feel in some way, some small way, I'm a role model to them, because it is so important for those members to have bonds and connections with one another, even across my different groups. So we create situations in which they can get to be around each other, do things together, and connect and so forth. And when I hear in a meeting that two members have met each other and they had a business meeting, or they used each other's services or went to each other for various things because of the different industries that they're in, which is another added bonus, right? It makes me feel phenomenal. because we are all connected. And when I see those connections at work, it's like, yes, you know, it's happening.
What a mastermind's all about. You're there to not just brainstorm, but support each other and be in service to each other and lift each other up. I mean, I've been in masterminds and I've had a little bit of everything that you've just spoken about.
Yeah.
I highly recommend them too. And it sounds like yours is wonderful. So
thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Now, what about a time in your life that you were not leading with personal power? Can you tell us about that?
I would say it's probably when I reinvented myself to what I'm doing right now. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, Lori, but for 16 years, I worked specifically in domestic violence, and it was extremely rewarding to me. I spoke all over the country. I even had opportunity to speak in Europe. I worked with organizations on, you know, the behaviors and characteristics and signs of domestic abuse, not only from the victim's perspective, but from the offenders, because employers have to understand that offenders work for us too, right? They learn state and federal compliance. We did policies and procedures. We did so much. And I knew that I was helping people. But after about 16 years, I got really, really burnt out. You know, it just became old. And I realized that I was not leading with intention after about 16 years of it, and that I was just doing it because it's what I knew to do. Mm. And that's when I really kind of hit a wall with myself and said, where's my own integrity with all of this? You know, how can I really empathize, which is really important to me, when I'm almost feeling so burnt out that I'm jaded? So at that point in time, I said, I am not helping people if I'm not coming at this from a place of authenticity anymore. Mm. You know?
That's a great awareness and wisdom. And since empathy is your number one quality, that tells me you're an empath. And if you're an empath and you're around people that have either been victimized or they're the predator, or you're around the energy of people who are learning about this, that's heavy. And without that intention of, now these are my words, you didn't say this, but without the intention of protecting yourself, since you're a sensitive, I mean, empaths are sensitive.
Yeah.
You take that all on and wow, yeah, you can get really burnt out really quickly. And empaths care. They care so much. So it's like a mother who will do everything and sacrifice everything for her children. She'll keep doing it till the day she dies, but she dies really exhausted.
Yeah.
You know? And so I hear that you had to set a healthy boundary for yourself because you weren't right with yourself. And so I like that you said that you had to, set that intention and come and be authentic and have that integrity.
Yeah.
And in that process, you switched your focus of your professional life.
I did. And I really did it with the help of another person, in the sense that I had been in a mastermind group back when I had my domestic violence business, which was called Human Resource Essentials. So I was in a mastermind group. I was a member of one. For me, it was not a good situation. It wasn't a good experience. And so I learned that if I was ever in another mastermind group, I would do things entirely differently. And so a girlfriend and I actually did form a mastermind group, had that for a year. Then I formed another one for a year. These two groups were really successful, but I was still doing the domestic violence work. But then came that epiphany moment when I thought, I just can't do this domestic violence work anymore. I'm not being authentic to them, not to myself. I'm not serving the way I should. And so I was speaking with the woman that I had created that first group with, and I was saying, I don't know what to do with myself anymore, because for 16 years, this is the work that I did. I invented the first ever domestic violence board game. It's called Outrage. I had written a true crime memoir with a victim of domestic violence that's called Serrated. And I was like, but without that, who am I? And she said, you were really good at running those mastermind groups. Have you ever thought about that? And I was like, No, because we don't see things in ourselves, right? It takes somebody to sometimes draw that out in us. And so when she said that, I investigated it and I looked for training programs and certifications and, you know, all the different options that were out there, and found someone that I was comfortable working with. And so it was after going through that training that I started my own business. I think a lot of people do go through kind of a reinvention, especially when you're a little more mature like we are. You know? Yeah.
Yeah. Your vision for, when I asked you about your vision for the world, and you spoke about having people belong to a group or to a tribe where they can share your challenges and support each other and help you along your way to whatever it is that you want to achieve or create. I can see how that was part of your domestic violence work as well, because you wanted people to support each other. And there's definitely challenges in that area of life. And so I can see where the paradigm or that focus or your vision was still there, but the content of that vision had to change for you.
I still do the presentations sometimes when they're requested of me, or demos on the game or so forth. It isn't something I really outwardly market anymore, but I still do get requests. So it's nice to still be able to touch people in that way. So I'm really doing a lot of work with strategic thinking and collaborative accountability and those leadership skills that I'm working with organizations now. But when somebody says, we want your help in this area, there's something really great about still being able to connect in that way, because there's that word again, right? Connection. And to empathize in that way. So empathizing still comes out in leadership and strategic thinking and all of those other things, but it's a different form.
Yes. And then with your intention and awareness, you can say yes or no. You know, your empathy it sounds to me, has very healthy boundaries now. And you get to run the show according to being right with yourself. What is it that if you looked into an encyclopedia and there was a word there and we'd see your face, what is that quality that you feel makes you uniquely you?
I think in many ways it would be my sense of values and ethics, and also commitment. Well, commitment in itself is a value, right? Doing what you say you're going to do, follow through, those kinds of things, whether it's returning a phone call or whether it's meeting somebody you say you're going to meet, doing a presentation or a program that you say you're going to do, volunteering on committees, as you know that I do. All of those things take commitment, and we can get very stretched, right? You and I are parents. There are friends and family and spouses and all kinds of things that, pull us by both arms. But commitment's really important to me. So I have to embody that in the same sense that I'm expecting it from people.
Yeah, and following through on that commitment requires you to be firmly grounded on this earth. And because people who are not grounded often don't follow through on their commitments. So if commitment is your most unique quality that makes you you, I know that you have that groundedness, that you are trustworthy and you'll follow through them. And of course, when people know that, then they're knocking on your door to ask you for things because they know they can count on you.
Well, and that's true. And the saying, if you want something done, give it to somebody who's already busy.
Right.
But I think that people who say things like, I'll call you back or whatever, and then they never do, I'm not sure if they really realize the detrimental effect that they can have on other people. Maybe they just think, well, it's just a flip thing. I mean, we all say that, sort of like, see you later. But it can really have an effect on people because it sets an expectation.
Yeah.
So I feel strongly about, if I'm going to set an expectation for somebody, that I really do fulfill it. And if I can't, I want to come clean. Let's just take this, for example. What if, you and I set this up quite a while ago. It's on your calendar. You trust that I'm going to be here on time. What if something comes up and I just can't do it? It's upon me to contact you. Yes, there are emergencies. What if a house burns down or something,
or lesser emergencies. Or forgetfulness.
But to follow through and just do my end to notify you or something, because people rely on our word. And just to say, oh yeah, I'll be there, is important, that you actually are there. So commitment's really important to me.
Yeah. I have committed a few times in my life and not shown up, and I felt awful. And it was usually because it wasn't in my calendar or something like that, because I like to follow through on my promises and commitments. And so I know when people have not shown up for me, as you just said, that it's disappointing. I'm usually pretty forgiving and I just let go of things. I know life happens, but you're right. Commitment is so huge because there's integrity there.
Yeah.
And commitment, there's like so much behind commitment. It's not just that act of following through. There's a lot more things that are involved in that.
But I think the difference in what you said, though, Lori, is you said, you know, you said, and I quote, I felt really badly because it wasn't in my calendar. I mean, sometimes those little glitches happen. I'm talking about the person who doesn't feel badly because they just don't really care. And because, you know, it's important for me and my vision, because we're talking about visionary women, that we are all connected, that when you fall through on something like that, you break a chain in that connection that we have. And it breaks trust. And maybe it doesn't hurt you today, and I don't mean you specifically, maybe it doesn't hurt the recipient of that or the doer of that today, but it can affect them down the road. So I think that we need to be careful with that what we do does matter. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. And it can sting. I like that difference that you just defined, that having an accident or forgetting something and having it matter to you is one thing, but not following through on your commitment and like just thinking, oh, well, big deal. That's a whole different thing. And it goes back to that integrity that we know that you have and that you spoke about. Right. So I'm wondering then if one of these or all of these qualities are the 3 qualities that you would recommend for a woman leader to practice. What would those 3 top qualities be that you suggest? Well, based on my own self, it would be empathy, commitment, and another one for me that is important is credit. You know, like giving credit where credit is due. Our ideas come from all kinds of places, suggestions come from people. You have made many suggestions to me for doing certain things. And when people compliment me on those things, I'll say, oh yeah, Lori suggested that I do that. Thank you. You know, like the LinkedIn videos. I was so scared to do that. And you finally gave me that incentive and you put it in such simple words of how to do it and how to get started that I've started. And thank you for that. So I want to give you, you're natural too. So that's important. If at all possible, you know, if the opportunity is there for us to do that, because again, that's part of connecting people and being part of that whole big chain that does connect all of us. Yeah. And those qualities, what I'm getting is it's important for the person to experience those for herself. However, it also is important because of how it affects the other. So I can see where empathy is your empathy is such a juicy thing for you because it's not only about you ever, it's always about you and the other. There's that connection. And so I'm not surprised that you're very consistent in that. Thanks. I think to tie with empathy would probably be validation. You know, validating that somebody helps you or somebody who does something for you, getting validation for what they have done. I'll never forget when my daughter was in elementary school and I was sitting on the board of the PTO, and the parents that were there were talking about one of those silhouette cutters. You know, those black and white silhouettes that are done out of paper and they're really, really quick. I had those done for my children. Yeah, me too, from this person. And they were talking about, we got into a conversation of the skill and so forth that it takes. And one of the parents didn't want to pay this woman what she was asking for and stuff. And I remember another woman saying, you know, people will continue to do things for you if you don't thank them appropriately. And I thought, wow, bingo. I love that. It was to me, thanking people appropriately falls hand in hand with empathy. It falls hand in hand with validation. It falls hand in hand with connecting people.
Yeah.
So to me, saying thank you and being grateful for what we receive and grateful for what people do is really important.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm getting appreciation and gratitude and acknowledgement and really seeing people. That everybody wants to be seen for who they really are. Yeah. So that's all of that comes with what you just said. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Wow, that came out of my mouth.
Well, you're a wise woman. That is common for women visionary leaders. It's easy to be wise, and it's easy to share that wisdom with others. And that's why it's important for women to liberate the visionary they have within them. So many women are not only, like, going back to your work with domestic violence, which also I have experience in that field, it's not just the predator or the other person who victimizes you, but when you oppress that visionary leader within you, you are still a victim, but it's you doing it. Yeah. And so you may not even know you're doing that. And so being with other women who are leading with personal power, who have masterminds, who support your truth. This program, for the woman watching this, we're here to support and inspire her in ways that she may not know she needs. Yeah. Maybe she never thought, oh, do I have empathy? Is a connection important to me? Is commitment important to me? Is giving credit important to me? And so we plant these seeds here. One of my bigger visions is so that all women in the world can be liberated. Mm-hmm. And so I'm here to help that happen. Go ahead.
Well, you know, when you were talking about the victims of domestic violence, and that's a really, I don't want to say extreme, but that's a really big issue, right? Everything from that to just the woman who's afraid to speak in public. You know, we can be our own worst enemies.
Yes.
And really get hung up on ourselves. And so yes, we need help. But I think when you find out what your best qualities are and actually use that quality for good, then you're true to your own vision.
Yes. Yes. Know what your vision is. Know what your unique essence is. Know what it feels like, not just looks like, and the decisions around leading with personal power. But when you actually lead with personal power, it's a feeling that you're not going to just let go. You're going to want to be in that sweet spot because it makes everything possible.
Yeah.
So Stephanie, how can people who want to be in your mastermind or get you to speak, or how can they reach you, find you, learn more about you?
Well, I'm frighteningly easy to find. So my website is stephanieangelo.com. And I do spell Stephanie like the traditional way, S-T-E-P-H-A-N-I-E. So stephanieangelo.com. My phone number is 480-646-2400. And my email is easy too. It's just stephanie@stephanieangelo.com.
Okay. And other than a person looking for a mastermind with a leader who has a unique vision like yours, or someone who wants you to speak at their event, is there anybody else that you'd like to hear from?
Is there anybody else that I'd like to hear from? That's a really good question. Maybe that I won the lottery?
Yeah.
You know, I love hearing from business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, but also organizations, corporate organizations that want to learn more about what I do in terms of employee engagement in employee improvement and employee development. And like I said at the very beginning of the conversation, the employee is everything from the line employee all the way to the executive. So if they really want to learn more about that, I'd love to have those conversations. So I work with everything from the corporate group to the association to the individual.
Yeah, I like that diversity. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of rich conversation and content because of that diversity. Okay, is there anything else you'd like to share with us today?
No, I just, it's been wonderful to be able to talk about my vision and how I hope that in some small little way I'm leaving a mark on the world, but that I hope that this also invites people to feel comfortable. Because here's a question too. We said, Lori, know what your vision is. There are people that are literally grappling with that. They're like, I don't really know what my vision is. I don't really know what my special ingredient is. Like for me, it's empathy and commitment. There are people that honestly don't know.
Well, I know that. I mean, I didn't know my stuff for years. What's my life purpose? Why am I here? What's the meaning of life?
Right. But it doesn't mean they don't have it.
Oh, absolutely.
It just means they haven't really unveiled it. So I love to hear from those people, because those are the people that I really enjoy working with, because clarity and developing that is really, really important, and it serves them. And again, it keeps us all connected.
Okay. All right. So reach out to Stephanie at stephanie@stephanieangelo.com, or go to stephanieangelo.com is your website.
Yep.
Good. Okay. All right. So that is a wrap for this Visionary Voice program today. If you would like to lead with personal power in your life, schedule some private time with me. You can go to my website, leadwithpersonalpower.com. You can contact me at lori@leadwithpersonalpower.com. And on my website, you'll find several complimentary personal power resources that will support you. So if you're a little shy or introverted, you can go there and get those for free. Otherwise, we'd like to hear from you and let us know what you think about the Visionary Voice with Stephanie Angelo. And that's it for today, Stephanie.
Thank you so much. This has been so much fun.
It is. I love this part of my life. So thanks for being on the show today and following through with your commitment.
You're welcome.
All right. So that's it for the Visionary Voice. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.